The harsh truth when it comes to your healing journey is seeing things for what they are and not what you want them to be. Welcome or welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist, Ty Guidance, and that is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, with that being said, because there's no right or wrong way to heal yourself, always and only take what resonates as well as leave the rest. So if it does not apply, then that means it's not aligned, which means it is not for you, so don't force it. As well as grab your pens, grab your paper, and be prepared to take notes. For the month of April and in this video, we're going to be going over the harsh truths. And for today's video specifically, we're going to be talking about when you have gone through your trials and tribulations and you have come to the terms with things of how life is and not what you thought it was, as well as some recommendations, some reminders, some disclaimers, and just certain things that need to be aware of. So starting off with the first couple of disclaimers. When you go through trauma, when you go through trials and tribulations, it is going to alter your perception of yourself and certain people, places, and things. And a lot of times you're not able to have clear judgment or a clear mind until after you've been traumatized, unfortunately. Like if you got to a point where you were abused or neglected or taken advantage of, it's not until after the pain, after the emotions have been irregulated, after your nervous system is no longer balanced, after you have lost money or whatever it was, that you come to your senses that you went through certain things. Trauma does psychologically change you is what I'm trying to say. So the second disclaimer is knowing that until you're able to accept all the bad things that have happened to you or the negative things have happened to you, you're going to suffer from PTSD. You're going to hold on to memories and thoughts and conversations and people and places and things that are no longer in your life right now. Because if you're watching this, you have already let go, or if not, let go 90% of the trials and tribulations that you've experienced. You have to be willing to let go of what has happened to you. Now, of course, this is the third disclaimer. There's no right or wrong way to let go of things. So I'm not rushing you. I'm just speaking from experience. And as your favorite mental health specialist on this account who motivates, informs, and educates you as a naturopathic physician, which means we heal ourselves subconsciously and consciously and internally first, you cannot hold on to people and places and things that you've been were meant to let go of. So a lot of times we get warnings before destruction. You have to realize, and this is the fourth disclaimer, you have to realize that you did allow certain people, places, and things to hurt you and harm you, whether it was intentional or not, whether it was subconsciously or not. You did. And the reason why you did is because maybe you didn't know how to defend yourself. Maybe you grew up being a people pleaser. Maybe you had doubt. Maybe you had insecurity. Maybe you weren't aware. Maybe you were innocent. This is not to invalidate what has happened to you or justify or condone the negativity and the abuse that you went through, but I'm speaking from experience. That's the fourth disclaimer. I had to hold myself accountable. I had to realize the only reason why I experienced certain trials and tribulations, despite if it was my fault or not, was because I wasn't where I needed to be or I wasn't doing what I needed to do. I can wholeheartedly say a lot of times I didn't have the finances. A lot of times I didn't have the resources. A lot of times I didn't have the education. The examples that I give on my channel, if you're new here, is being in a car accident. Over 10 years ago, I was 19 years old. I got into a really bad car accident. The reason why I got into a bad car accident was because nobody taught me how to drive. I have only driven a car maybe 4 times total out of my entire life. One was at the driving school to take my driving test. The second time was with my biological mother. The third time was with a friend of mine. Her mom let me drive her car. And the last time was with my biological father when he was trying to teach me how to drive a stick manual shift. So if I had only had 3 or 4 times driving, I could not beat myself up about not knowing any better. Afterwards, like I said, unfortunately, I had to learn how to drive. If you survive the trials and tribulations that you think that are going to take you out or so negatively or so not what you want to experience, you have to learn from them. You have to realize where you went wrong. Just because you didn't know any better doesn't mean that you can't become better. Like, you don't have to be so hard on yourself. You don't have to beat yourself up. So lastly, before I get into the recommendations, you have to be okay with that. Like, you have to learn with knowing that you made certain choices. Like, you're not always going to have the resources. You may not always have the guidance. You may not always have the support. You may not always have the whatever it is. It's not the end of the world. Like, it's not the end of the world just because nobody taught me how to drive. Would I have liked to have opportunities where I was able to learn how to drive? Yes, but because I didn't, I had to teach myself how to drive. And over the past 10 years, I've learned a lot. So the first recommendation with knowing that you have to see things for what they are is learning to be grateful. You did go through trials and tribulations, but at the end of the day, everybody does. Nobody on this earth does not go through things. Now, how significant is going to be based off of where people are, what they're experienced to, and what they have. And that's going to be the second recommendation, not to compare yourself. But it's like, everybody goes through things. So what? You don't have to sit here and be angry and frustrated for the rest of your life and bitter just because something happened to you 10 years ago. But in order for you to not be bitter or to hold on to things that have happened 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or 20 years ago, number two, you have to realize how you felt. Over here, we're here to be accountable. Over here, we're to be honest. Over here, you have to be the authentic version of yourself, the highest version of yourself. So sugarcoating things, trying to sweep things underneath the rug, not wanting to talk about things, you're going to be triggered. You're going to be challenged. You could take notes, send and share this video, turn on your post notifications, or send it and share it to somebody who's ready to do the work. These videos are not for me. They're for you. That's why you watch them if you're new here, okay? Talk about what has happened to you. Talk about how you feel in the notes, in your comment section. Go to a psychiatrist. Go to a therapist. Book your service in your session. All my information is in the description down below. Go to your God, the answers to the universe. I'm not here to force religion or spirituality. Take what resonates, leave the rest. You have to talk about what has happened to you, because if not, you're holding on to pain and people and places and things who are no longer in your life. And that's why a lot of people, like I said, have PTSD. That's why a lot of people's nervous system is irregulated, because you have been anxious, because you grew up around dysfunction. You grew up around toxicity. You grew up in a scarcity mindset. You are afraid. You are paranoid. You have fear because you grew up around people who were not confident, who were not secure. Maybe you didn't have examples. Like, if you want to be financially stable and you grew up in poverty, you may have a scarcity mindset when it comes to money and wealth because how you grew up, what you had to do to take care of yourself. You may have trust issues when it comes to people because you may have overly given to people and places and things that you did not get the same energy back in return. And we talked about that. And that's the third disclaimer. Where did you not necessarily go wrong, but what did you have to learn from? The third recommendation is evaluating what you had to learn from. What did you quote unquote lose? Where were you quote unquote in the wrong? For me personally, when it came to certain relationships with certain people, places, and things, I had to realize that none of the people, or let me not say none, maybe let me think. Give me a second. Maybe 30%. I'll say 30. Only 30% of the people that I knew in my past were not like bad people who actually were confident. 70% of them, am I being too nice when I say 30? Maybe I should say 25. 25 to 30. Not a lot of people is what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to be petty. I'm just being honest. This is my experience. It's also my platform. But not a lot of people in my life were confident. I didn't have a lot of people who actually did what they said, meant what they said, and were their authentic selves. So because of that, the 70 or the 60%, the majority of the other people, I had to realize quickly, my camera got cut off, that I cannot continue to give my time, my energy, my effort, or even my finance into them, because I knew I was not going to get that energy back in return. And unfortunately, because I experienced that and I witnessed that majority of my life, I learned early not to be disappointed in people, like not to have expectations of people. And that could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. I've learned to use it more in a good way, because at the end of the day, everyone is not like that. I have to realize that even though I grew up around and I witnessed a lot of people not be supportive or not be confident. A lot of people were like envious and had low self-esteem, that everybody wasn't like that. Like, I could not limit myself. And that's mainly holding yourself accountable. And like I said, just realizing and reassuring yourself and acknowledging what role that you played, because you're not wrong for being a good person. It's not your fault if you were naive. It's not your fault if you're innocent. It's not your fault if you're a good person and people took advantage of you, especially, like I said, if you didn't even know how. Like, for me, I grew up, I had a parent who instilled love and confidence into me. Not everybody has that. So you have to realize that if you overplayed your part, you don't have to beat yourself up. But you just have to set boundaries. You just have to learn lessons, like learning to see things for what they are, and people, places, and things will save you the disappointment. Like me personally, I don't like to be disappointed. And that's the reason why also too, I've had to always be so hyperly independent. I couldn't put my trust into people. Even with my platform, like I cannot put my trust into my community until I know that the people who watch, the people who comment, the people who engage, the people who have their notifications on are going to engage, are going to like, are going to share. I still have to post the content regardless if 20 people watch and nobody likes the video. I still have to post when people have their notifications on and don't engage, they don't like, but they're always watching. You have to know that just because you were a version of you where you didn't know any better doesn't mean that you have to allow your entire life to be like that. Because what happens is, if you limit yourself based off your past experience or on other people, you will distort the vision of how you see yourself and how you live your life. You have to realize that if you are a people pleaser, it's nothing wrong with you being kind. It's nothing wrong with you being liked. It's nothing wrong with you wanting to be liked. But you should have enough value and enough respect for yourself that you want to be appreciated. You shouldn't just want everyone to like you. You shouldn't just want to give to people and people not give back to you. It's not selfish. You're not arrogant. You're not conceited. You're not condescending. If you pour into people, people should be able to pour back into you. Because if not, you don't have to be there for people. Nobody owes you anything. There's so many people who are entitled, even on social media. And that's a different topic within itself. Like, nobody owes you anything other than yourself. Unless you believe in like the God, the ancestors, the universe. Even with our parents and the people that we know, they're not always going to be there in our lives. You have to hold yourself accountable and realize, were you supposed to leave certain people where they're at, or are you supposed to pull back? And if anybody tries to gaslight you or manipulate you or gets offended because you have boundaries, those aren't people you should want to be around anyways. And like I said, the 60 or 70, whatever percentage of people who are not able to be receptive when I needed them, they were never there for me. When I did things for them, when I financially, emotionally, because I've done that. I've given to people who, like I said, never gave me anything back in return. And the moment I clocked and peeped that they were not willing to meet me where I was, I snatched all of that stuff back. Or I just moved on, because at the end of the day, I never lost anything that I couldn't get back in tenfold. So what? You gave money to people. So what? We all help people. Because at the end of the day, it's nothing wrong with helping people. It's nothing wrong with putting on people. Because it doesn't matter. You could put somebody on. They're not going to stay up if they don't have the energy for themselves. So nobody has ever drained my energy. Nobody has ever mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Like, nobody has done anything to me where I'm still not myself. Because I still make these videos despite what I've gone through. Yes, you may take some time to get like the things back. That's okay. Because when you do get everything that you get back, it's going to be more. And like I said, you're going to know better. That's life. Sometimes you have to lose yourself or even people and places and things to realize that you don't deserve to be treated like that. If you're a good person, if you're a nice person, if you're a kind person, you should have that same energy back in return. Like I said, I knew I was always confident in myself. I knew around school members, class members, certain people, they weren't confident. So like I said, I never got too close anyways. Because unfortunately, people are delusional. There are people in this world who are not mentally stable. Like, I've met people in real life who, you know, were weirdos, and I had to remove myself from them, and I don't speak to them. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that people aren't going to stalk you or that people are going to try to do things. I'm not afraid of nobody. People need to be, it's uno reverse. I'm going to keep it cute and keep it demure, okay? Because if you know, you know. But it's like, it's nothing for you to be like upset about. Like, you do have to see things for what they are. So stop trying to see the good in people when they've shown you that they're not good people. There's so many red flags. There's so many warnings. Take heed of the signs. Warning always comes before destruction. So like, if you tell somebody something and they try to dismiss you or they act like they can't hear you, that person's not for you. If you have to constantly feel like you got to prove yourself or explain yourself, let those people misunderstand you. Because there are people in this world, like I said, who are miserable and not happy with themselves, who are committed to misunderstanding you. They don't want to hear what you want to hear. They don't want to hear what you have to say, because in their mind, they've already put you on a pedestal. And when people put you on a pedestal, they want to bring you down. It's so weird. That's a different topic within itself. So if you're a good person, don't stop being a good person just because other people are not good. Just be good to people who are good to you. If you financially give people money, they need to be able to pay you back. If not, if you're going to give, I'm going to end off the video with this. If you're going to give, whether it's your time, energy, effort, finances, be okay with not getting it back. If you're not okay with not getting things back, don't give. Don't say you're going to help somebody do something if they turn, because people will, unfortunately. You still have to be able to live your life just because people do flaw stuff. Like, when you're a classy man or woman, when you have morals, when you have integrity, when you have a certain je ne sais quoi about yourself, you don't even move like that. Let those people be treacherous. Let them be grotty. Let them be slimy and grimy, and let them be ratchet, because that's what that is. Let them be ratchet someplace else. Ratchet has nothing to do with your circumstances or where you live or a certain ethnicity, but how you carry yourself. Because you could live in environments, you could have less, you could be living in places where it is dysfunctional, but that doesn't mean that you have to be a part of it. You could be aware, but you don't have to observe it. You don't have to condone it. Learn to see people for who they are. If you can't be vulnerable and people judge you, make fun of you, stop telling them your business. If you tell somebody you like them and they don't show you, they don't do things the first time, stop giving people multiple chances to show you and over and over and over again that they're not going to change. And honestly, once you do start to see how low certain people are, you're not going to want nothing to do with them. Like me personally, there are certain people, even to this day, like, I avoid them. Like, you have to ignore people. You have to avoid people, because a lot of these people want attention. A lot of these people are miserable, and I'm not willing to give it to them. Like, I'm telling you, even with my videos, like, people comment like the most off the wall stuff, and I'm just like, where is your mom and your dad? Where is your mom and your dad? Because I'm not your babysitter. I may be your rich auntie, but I'm not a babysitter. And if I have to be the babysitter, I'm going to charge you. I'm not doing it for free. I'm not watching you all grown adults. And a grown adult is 30 plus, because they just changed the frontal lobe. It was 25. I now believe it's 32. Don't quote me. But I'm not watching no grown adults. And I don't care if you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, gay, LGBTQ2, 1, 2, 3, none of that. Hey, she, thee, way, whatever you want to be, your pronouns. Get it together the first time. And that's what I'm telling you. As a grown adult, nobody has time to be sitting here playing games. So if you want to play games, like I said, be immature someplace else. Grown people who have real things going on for themselves, we don't have time. We have time to be surrounding ourselves with people who pour into us, who love us, who appreciate us, all that extra stuff. Miss me with that, okay? Follow me on all my social media platforms. All the information down in the description box below. Let me know your experiences when you had to start to see people for what they were. Let me know if you felt like you were taken advantage of and how you were able to move forward and how you were able to bounce back. Like, what did you do to bounce back? Because you're going to bounce back. I've already made a video talking about that. And if you want a part 2, let me know. But you're going to bounce back. And when you do, like I said, those people are going to wish that they never even did what they did to you, because they did. You can't change what people said about you and did about you. So when people talk about you and they grouped up against you and they try to get you fired, or they spread rumors, or they try to character assassination, or they got a group of other people, why would you want to be around them anyways? These people are weird. They're not, like I said, they're not mentally stable. Those are not people I condone or surround yourself with. Especially when you know, like, I don't feel like there's nothing wrong with being a good person. Like, I'm worried about people who say things like they don't trust people who are nice. They don't trust people who are friendly. You know how dysfunctional and corrupt and so much confusion and so much toxicity you've been around that when people are nice and kind, you are sideways? No, I'm sideways at people who are not nice and polite, because who wants to be around people who are rude? Who wants to be around people who have attitudes? Who wants to be around people who are constantly degrading people? Who wants to be around people they can't trust? Who wants to be in environments where you don't feel safe? Like, what? Let me know, okay? Love you. You're loved. Until next time, thanks. Peace for watching.